Radical Radio Collective.
Good afternoon, listeners. You're tuned in to 4ZZZ 102.1 FM. This is Eco Radio, Australia's longest running peace and environment radio show, maybe. We're taking over your middle of the day, middle of the week, start of the month airwaves. My name is Dave. My pronouns are he, him. And I want to start off by acknowledging and paying my respects to the custodians on the country in which we broadcast. We're located in the city Mungin on Turrbal, Yuggera and Yugambeh land. I also want to acknowledge and pay my respects to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people who are listening in today. Our radio waves reach Cubby Cubby and Unibara country in the north, Waka Waka country in the west. In the east, we pay our respects to the Quandamooka people, and down south, we reach the Commonwealth, Nagaragwal, Mununjali, Wandjarabara and Yugambeh countries. Thank you to No Idea for all the great ideas. They also had a non-subscriber text in to tell No Idea that wind turbines will cost millions of dollars and need new road infrastructure to move the huge parts. But of course, we will need to make new infrastructure and grid upgrades. The dirtiest energy production of fossil fuels is a mature product. If we want to make changes to clean energy, it will take new infrastructure. Today on the show, we are talking to McBride, the Citizenship and Volunteers Manager of Woodford Folk Festival, to find out what volunteer opportunities there are in the festival off-season. And we're also going to be talking to Max Fulham from Save Deongwar State Forest about their upcoming BioBlitz. You're listening to 4ZZZ. This is Eco Radio.
Have you been loitering around like a juvenile delinquent? Are you lacking purpose in your life? Subscribe to 4ZZZ and get some warm inner glow.
You are listening to 4ZZZ 102.1 FM. And right now on the line, I'm talking to McBride, the Citizenship and Volunteers Manager for the Woodford Folk Festival. Thank you, McBride, for joining us.
Hi, thanks for having me.
My pleasure. So I only found out about this recently, but there are volunteering opportunities all year round at Woodford, not just during the festival.
Absolutely. We've got 500 acres of land and a very, very small site team. So we have monthly working bees that people come out and volunteer once a month, either through the Tree Huggers, which has been our long-standing environmental group that has been doing land care projects for probably since we took over the land in 1994, a little bit before my time, but and then now Conservatory, which is focusing sometimes more on special planting areas or different types of plants, like an orchid pod, or we have a sacred forest pod that is working away at an area that is turning it into a sacred forest for peace and contemplation. So
yeah, can you tell us a bit more about that? If I was to come up and volunteer for the weekend, would I be like planting trees?
It depends each month, but there is some general maintenance and keeping on top of weeds. Weeding is sort of something that we always have to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Weeding and mulching, and then creating space and planting trees or native grasses. We've done a lot of tree planting over the past 30 years that we've had Woodfordia, but now we're looking more at specialist plants and understory and native grasses that will really help to prevent weeds from coming back.
Oh, that's fantastic. Like you're going to be creating a little botanic gardens.
Yeah, well, the idea is an arboretum of cultural significance.
Oh.
You want to call it that? We'd love to. We're replanting and trying to bring back all the endemic species. There were some 2,000 or so different types of trees in this area back before we colonized it.
Yeah.
And cut it all down. So now we're on a mission to try and bring back as many of those species as we can. We've probably reached about 500 different types of species at this point, so we still have a long way to go. And sourcing some of those more rare trees and plants are difficult, but we're doing what we can on a monthly basis. It's always for Conservatory the last Saturday of the month, and the Tree Huggers is the last Sunday of the month. And for most months, that means that they're on the same weekend. And on the Saturday night, we have the folk club. So $5 entry. It's chalkboard. It's for the people, by the people. It's a lovely evening, and it's great for budding musicians or poets to get up there on stage with a very forgiving audience. There's also the traditional music school happening on the same weekend. So some people come up, will volunteer in the morning, do the music school in the afternoon, stick around and stay for the folk club. Chat around the fire all night, camp, and then go home or go for a swim first.
Yeah, right. Because you have the Lake Gula camping volunteering coming up this Easter.
Yeah, well, Lake Gula is on right now. It started on the 4th of April.
Oh, yep.
It's going to the 22nd. So it's 18 days of running a campground during school holidays, and it is primarily run by volunteers itself. So at the moment and for this weekend, we do have plenty of volunteers, which is fabulous. But Easter weekend, we are still looking for a few more. We're looking at our rosters and saying, well, we don't want people to wait in line too long, so we could use a couple more bartenders, and we could use a few more people doing food prep or service, because it is a big weekend. We're going to have probably about 1,500 people on site.
Yeah, right. So it's like a mini Woodford Folk Festival then.
Oh, no, it's a campground with a twist.
Okay.
I will say there's one concert a day, not anything like the Woodford Folk Festival with its, 300 or 400 concerts a day. So it's much more of a campground that has the lake, and we're operating the general store in Lake Gula barbecue area, a little cafe, and as I said, there's a concert a day, and then there's some craft workshops, some family games, scavenger hunts. Like nothing really like Woodford Folk Festival. It's definitely like a campground, but at Woodfordia, and it has it feels a bit like Woodford, but nothing like the intensity of the Woodford Folk Festival.
Yeah, right. So how can people get involved?
Well, woodfordia.com/get involved, there's lakegulacamping.com/volunteer. If you just look up woodfordia.com, and then at the top there's a link there for get involved, and that takes you to the volunteer page. And that outlines all the different volunteer opportunities. We're also recruiting for the planting right now because we're bringing back the planting weekend. Mm-hmm. That's the first weekend in May. And we need people, again, for every event. There's always people that we need, like toilet cleaners and happy campers and bartenders and,
Is there any special requirements for volunteers?
They fill out the online form and wear enclosed footwear.
Oh, okay. That's pretty easy to achieve.
Induction that they'll do after they get accepted, and we do accept youth volunteers. They have to have a parent or guardian that's going to be at the weekend as well. So, but we have youth volunteer opportunities, which is a great way for people to get experience. We just don't have the youth in the bar. So, but yeah, other people are welcome to apply. And the youth are welcome to apply for the other roles, like Arbology or Espen Warriors or the Cafe, Lake Gula Barbecue, General Store. It's a small number of volunteers. The planting is going to be about 2,000 people on site. And the big focus for the planting is going out there and doing some more curated enhancement and planting projects. There'll be demonstrations and talks as well, and some music in the evening, entertainment for the people that come out and do the working bees during the day. Yeah,
that's a huge planting group.
Well, we don't expect all to be planting all the time.
Okay.
There's 4 working bee sessions on 2 Saturday and 2 Sunday. And I think at our biggest ever, we had about 300 join a working bee, which is still awesome and amazing. Those are patrons. They buy a ticket and then still come out and plant. We like to, make everybody work, so we're all part of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the people come to the planting, and then in the evening they get all the entertainment and relax. But we, for the volunteering, some people will commit to a roster and do 12 hours in exchange for their weekend pass.
Yeah, okay. So, if you volunteer, you get, in exchange, you get free...
the pass.
Yeah, to the Woodford Folk Festival.
No, to the planting.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so usually you volunteer at an event and then you get access to that event. So if you volunteer for Lake Gula camping, especially like I said, over Easter weekend, we're looking for people. So if you haven't got plans yet and you want to go camping, maybe this is the way to go. You do 4 hours a day, and then you get one meal a day, and then the rest of it you're on your own.
Okay.
But, it's not bad,
Yeah.
And then planting, again, it's like 4 hours a day. You'll get your camping and weekend pass for that one. Woodford we're not recruiting for Woodford till later in the year, not till October.
Oh, okay. Well, that's fair enough. I'd love to hear more about that when that comes available.
I'd happily talk to you about it then, for sure.
Okay, great. So if people want to get involved, they can head to Woodford Folk Festival.
Woodfordia.com.
Woodfordia.com.
Yep. Or .org. We have both.
And just get in contact with you there.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. So basically everything is an online application, and the application will go directly to the manager. I can be reached, volunteers at woodfordia.com, and I'm happy to answer questions or provide links to people who can't find it on the website. But woodfordia.com, and then find the Get Involved button in there. That'll take you to the page with all the links for all the events and all the volunteer opportunities.
Yeah, that's awesome. It sounds like a great opportunity to get your hands dirty and help out the folk festival a little bit and help out the environment.
Yeah. I mean, and with this camp, we've got a bunch of backpackers here too. I just looked through all the applications yesterday. We've got 10 different countries aside from Australia represented in our crew, and it's only a tiny crew of 140 people. So we've managed to attract some people from as far away as Argentina, Taiwan, a lot of Europeans and Germans and Israelis and UK folks as well. But yeah, so it's a great camp to volunteer for. So that's our first priority, is finding a few more folks for Easter weekend, then the planting, and then the monthly working bees you can sign up for. So if you go to woodfordia.com/get involved, you can put your name down on a mailing list and find out about all the volunteer opportunities too.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, thanks very much for joining me, McBride.
No problem, Dave.
And I hope you have a great time planting trees.
I will, for sure. Okay. Thank you.
All right. You're listening to 4ZZZ Eco Radio.
Hey listener, did you get the memo? It's April Atonement, a month-long opportunity to make amends for lapsed subscriptions and go in the draw to win prizes from some of our friends. New Farm Cinemas, BMAC, Oasis, Heaps Normal, Jets Fitness, Brisbane Festival, Stork Furniture, Vicasati, The Buttery Music School, Gyrostream, Smoked Garage, Outside the Box, and Vanilla Zulu. Become a subscriber this April Atonement. Head to 4zzz.org.au now.
You are listening to 4ZZZ, and you should become a subscriber this April Atonement. We had a non-sub who requested Worm Girl's new song, Jackie. Unfortunately, I can't play songs by non-subscriber requests. It's against my values. But we did have Luke text in and said, Worm Church, love their 2 new songs. I agree. There are actually a lot of worm sort of bands hanging around. Worm and horse bands, I've noticed recently. But yeah, it is April Atonement, and you can become a subscriber and potentially request songs. If you do become a subscriber during April Atonement, the time to atone for your sins, you could win prizes like a Brisfest Riverfire package. That's a big one, valued at $500 per person. The BMAC Season Pass. That's Queensland's most dynamic producer of multicultural arts. BMAC has been successfully staging groundbreaking productions that fuel the diverse practices of artists from a variety of different cultural backgrounds for almost 4 decades. That sounds really interesting. But, of course, everyone's favourite, the New Farm Cinemas mid-year retrospective pass. Everyone likes a a free movie ticket, and you can get those movie tickets by becoming a subscriber. Just go to 4zzz.org.au/support and pick from one of our plethora of different subscription tiers. Under 18s are only $25. Concessions are $40. Full subscriptions are $80. And even if you've become a subscriber during our usual Radiothon subscription run, you can add to it by becoming a 4ZZZ subscriber during April Atonement. It'll add another year already on top of your subscription, and you still go in running to win those awesome prizes. So head to 4zzz.org.au/support and become a subscriber of a people-powered radio station. This isn't AI-driven. This is normal intelligence or ordinary knowing radio, people-powered. You're listening to 4ZZZ Eco Radio.
4ZZZ's Radio Reversal has gone digital. Since 2012, the collective have been building a record of radio theorising, organising, mistake-making, rethinking and community building that happens across this city. So, if 1 hour a week isn't enough for you, head to radioreversal.substack.com to learn more about the Radio Reversal podcast, or listen to the full episodes via your favourite podcasting app.
A lovely request by Digging called River City. That was a request by Marky, who texted in. Marky, long-time listener, long-time texter, was saying that he's doing some bush care, working on corky passion fruit, and has managed to save some native grasses in the process, which are really difficult to germinate. They're the wiry panic, which is the native. And it's great to hear about those wins, Marky. I really enjoyed that. And that was also a great request from a great subscriber. Now, we're also going to be talking about doing some, I guess, citizen science more, but still in the bush care realm. We're talking in the studio now with Max Fulham from Save Deongwar's forest. Max, how are you doing?
Yeah, good, thanks, David. Really pleased to be able to come down here. Thanks for reaching out.
Oh, yeah, thanks for coming down. You're all the way down from the sunny coast. Deongwar's up north there. And can you tell us a bit about your BioBlitz that's going to be happening this weekend?
Yeah, we had a BioBlitz last weekend in April, in April, and we're following up again this year with another one, and that's coming up on the 12th and 13th of this weekend. Mm-hmm. We're going to have a social camp out on a private property on the boundary of Deongwar to prepare for a sunrise flora and fauna survey the following morning.
Yeah, early time to get in and see some of the more elusive animals there, I suppose.
Yeah, well, previously we didn't get out into the forest until about 9:30, and I changed it around a bit this year because I just recognised that we're really missing the opportunity to take advantage of our early morning activity. There's a lot more bird activity, and we're really hoping that we'll actually possibly find some terrestrial mammals in the process, and other species that you probably wouldn't see later in the day.
So it was last year that greater gliders was seen in the forest for the first time in 25 years, is that right? Yeah,
that's right. I'm pleased you mentioned it because it did break some news at that point. It's actually the first time a greater glider has been seen in Deongwar for a long time. And it was interesting because when we considered looking for a glider that night, we got together and talked about where will we go. And clearly we needed to go and look at the best available habitat. And that actually turned out to be within the road margins of the Department of Main Roads and Transport verge.
Okay.
Because those trees have been spared the axe over the years, and they've got more height, more maturity, and they've got the hollows.
Yeah.
And that adjoins a section of the state forest that, under the forestry management guidelines, is kept as a buffer zone, a visual buffer zone. So there's a patch of habitat there, and within half an hour we actually found a glider. But so far, we haven't found any others yet.
Okay, yeah. So that indicates that there's maybe a small population there that's still hanging on?
Yeah, I hope so. I think if, our campaign is really about getting Deongwar permanently protected from extractive resources, including the timber logging. Personally, I feel like the best opportunity we've got to reintroduce these species back into the forest is to grow that forest back to maturity. Currently, there's a significant long-term deficit of tree hollows due to historical impacts since we first arrived in this country, and also more recent intensive logging.
Yeah, so there are plans to change state forests, a lot of state forests into national parks. We saw it a couple of years ago with Ferny Forest, which we covered. So what are the plans for Deongwar Forest?
Yeah, Deongwar is on the radar. I mean, this Save Deongwar State Forest campaign fundamentally is about raising the profile of Deongwar. It's like a lot of state forests, they don't get that much visitation. They're not really much in the public profile. And from that point of view, I think we've been fairly successful in just elevating the awareness around Deongwar's existence in the public. But at this stage, under the Southeast Regional Forest Agreement that was put in place 25 years ago, it was agreed that all the logging would cease in the Southeast Regional Plan area, which roughly south of Noosa out to Toowoomba and to the southern border. Mm-hmm. So that was the plan, but that's all that Southeast Regional Forest Agreement is finished now, and the logging has finished. But now we're looking to see what happens next. Yeah,
okay. So there's no one has said that it'll be transitioning to a national park anytime soon, but it's not being logged for native timber species.
No, not at this point. We don't know where things will go, but I'm personally fairly warmly confident that this could happen. But there are some issues around this whole process gets bogged down in bureaucracy because we have a land tenure called environmental exploration for minerals permit application areas.
Right.
That overlay in Deongwar itself about 70% of the land area.
Oh.
And this is quite common right across Queensland. There's a lot of state forests and other areas that can't transition to another conservation tenure at this point without the people within the public servants within the Department of Environment, Tourism and Science actually negotiating these leases out with the Department of Resources.
Okay.
So it's very much an internal process going forward now.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you say you want to raise the profile of Deongwar forest. Can you tell us what makes Deongwar special for you?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Firstly, Deongwar is almost 4,800 hectares of intact eucalypt woodland. And that's quite unique in a lot of ways to have a large intact forest like that, because one of the issues we have with habitat loss and fragmentation is that connectivity. And that firstly makes it significant. It's also an elevated forest that sits up at around 500 metres. So it's when you drive up from Esk, it's about a 20-minute drive from Esk up onto the escarpment, and you feel the temperature drop by about 3 or 4 degrees. It's quite noticeable. But that climate change refuge is going to be really important going forward, because species that are on the margins of their climate tolerances can move up into that habitat as well.
Yeah, that's a really good point. For species that are able to get into those cooler temperature forests.
Yeah, well, the greater glider in particular is really impacted by heat stress. So the temperature's a critical thing for them, and it's really encouraging to know that there's at least one greater glider up there, and I did hear that there may have been seen with a sibling or a partner since then. But we'd love to find a yellow-bellied glider actually, because the whole campaign is really focused on the arboreal hollow obligate species that can't complete their life cycle without a tree hollow, a suitable tree hollow, because not all tree hollows suit all species. In the case of the greater glider, they generally want a hollow that's probably about 100 centimetres to 150 centimetres in diameter, but they need them at above 14.5 metres on average.
Right, okay.
So they need large old growth forests, those trees really need to get some age on them before they develop those hollows.
Yeah, from what I understand, it's about 150 years before there's a hollow suitable for a greater glider.
Yeah, look, that's pretty fair, and that's just getting started, really,
yes.
I think, because the lifespan of some eucalypts can be up to 500 years, and even when a tree dies, that's not the end of its journey, because the dead standing tree will continue to provide habitat for a variety of hollow-dependent species, and even when the limbs and the branches and the trunk actually falls, that all contributes to terrestrial habitat as well. But these are the resources that are lacking in the landscape, particularly in the state forest.
Yeah, okay. Well, can you stick around? We'll talk a bit more. You're listening to 4ZZZ 102.1 FM.
Your weekly dose of science on 4ZZZ is now available as a podcast.
I learned that you can hear the difference between different water temperatures when they're poured. I'm going to pour one after the other into a different glass, and you have to tell me which one is which temperature. I've got a hot and a cold. Mm-hmm. Right, here's the first one. Any thoughts?
Yeah, I'm saying cold.
It sounds cool, yeah.
Yeah? Okay.
Yeah.
Here's the second one.
Well played.
Shut up. Search No Idea 4ZZZ on your favourite podcasting app. That's spelled KNOW, like no idea. It's a visual pun on an audio platform. I don't know why we did it.
You're listening to 4ZZZ 102.1 FM. This is Eco Radio, and I'm talking to Max Fulham from Save Deongwar State Forest about his upcoming BioBlitz. Max, can you tell me what the arrangements are for the BioBlitz and how people can get there if they're coming from here down in Brisbane?
Yeah, the BioBlitz is online sign-up, and you can find the details of that on the Save Deongwar State Forest Facebook group.
The Deongwar is spelled Deongwar.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's a bit of an unusual word to get your mouth around initially, but it took me a while, actually. But Deongwar seems to be it, yeah. I actually don't know what its origins are. It's just one of those unknowns. I actually think about Deongwar as the forgotten forest, really.
Yeah, actually, when I was doing research for this interview, there's not a lot of government information about it. There's no state forest page about it. There's no, any government, any national parks or Queensland Parks and Wildlife information about it.
Yeah, I think if you dug around on the Department of Environment, Tourism, Sciences, various different platforms, you'd probably find something. But a basic Google search these days, Deongwar State Forest, will usually log in. You'll find, I think we've lodged 11 petitions now to the Legislative Assembly about Deongwar.
Yeah.
They all come up, and the Facebook page and a variety of things like that. So, but Deongwar is pretty much, I'd imagine it's about a 2-hour drive to the northwest out to Esk. So it's halfway between Esk and Crow's Nest, roughly, on the Esk-Hampton Road in the Somerset Regional Council area. But the joining the BioBlitz is simply a matter of chasing it up via our Facebook page. There's a link there and a QR code to register. And on the Saturday, we'll be arriving out there about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and we'll be setting up the marquee tent, and everybody gets settled down before we do a briefing in preparation to hit the ground running on the Sunday morning.
So what are you looking to find specifically? We've got greater gliders, yellow belly gliders, koalas?
Yeah, well, on the morning of the BioBlitz, all those nocturnal species will be knocking off for the night, and they'll be squirreled away back in their hollows if they're around. But I was just querying the iNaturalist database and the state government's WildNet database about species in Deongwar, and there's been very little recorded in Deongwar, which is pretty typical for a lot of these state forests since 25 years ago. Currently, the WildNet database, I see it as a historical record. It's not current, but if the data that's being fed into iNaturalist by citizen scientists is today live. It's happening every day, and it's a great resource to be able to go in and see what's in those particular areas of interest.
Yeah, I know famous iNaturalist user of Southeast Queensland, Greg Tasney, was out there maybe a couple of weeks ago and found 241 different species of flora and fauna. Those are the up-to-date results.
That's right, yeah. No, I reached out to Greg to see if he might be available to come to the BioBlitz, and next Sunday, about 3 days later, I was actually on iNaturalist looking at some of the lists, and I saw there's lists coming up in Deongwar, and Greg's doing fantastic work. I don't know how he does it.
No, I don't either.
He gets around and covers a lot of ground, and so grateful for him to come out and spend some time in Deongwar, because he was able to identify a patch of rainforest up on the eastern boundary that I don't think it's been looked at much before.
No, and there was some burning from bushfires in the forest as well, right?
Yeah, the 2019-20 bushfires, like a lot of other areas, impacted Deongwar pretty badly, particularly up in the north and to the northwest. There was a particularly intense or severe canopy burning fire. And when you drive out to those patches, when I first saw Deongwar, I was quite shocked because all the mature trees were dead. And now there's a lot of a pulse of regrowth, native and exotic regrowth coming through, which is a bit of a concern because that just adds to the fuel load eventually. So Deongwar's got a bit of the good, the bad and the ugly, actually. There's some areas that I think are in a state of ecological collapse, and there's some areas that have been intensively logged and sort of in-betweens, but there's a few patches of nice habitat, and the actual east and west Kipper Creek that run from the southwest to the northeast, particularly interesting, and at this point seem to be largely unexplored.
Yeah, right. Okay, well, it sounds like it's going to be an awesome weekend of bio-blitzing and identifying and iNaturalising. So if people want to get involved, they go to Save Deongwar State Forest on Facebook, and they can find everything there. Yeah,
there's actually the event itself is actually pinned to the top of the Facebook page as an event. So all the details are in there if anybody'd like to inquire, and my phone number's on there too, so they can just give me a ring.
Yeah, okay, fantastic.
Easy peasy.
Well, we've got other things that are happening this weekend. This is our weekly roundup segment, which we call the Bushcare Roundup.
It's a Bushcare Roundup. They've been pulling out weeds, and then they put in trees. It's the Bushcare Roundup.
So, happening on Friday at 8 o'clock in the morning, you can go to the UQ Gems tree planting at Jacaranda Place, Handel Street in Indooroopilly. At 1:45, you can go to the Ocean Connect Seagrass monitoring at Loders Creek. That's Len Fox Park and Marine Parade in Labrador. And then at 3 o'clock, you can go to the Growing Forward Kurilpa Commons Working Bee. That's 250 Boundary Street in West End. Then Saturday, the only thing to do is at 2 o'clock go to the Deongwar Forest BioBlitz. That's at 298 Brennan Road, Redbank Creek. And on Sunday at 8 o'clock, you can go to the Bushcare Working Bee in Minnippi Creek Wildlife Corridor. That's 1 Todman Street in Carina at 8 o'clock as well. You can go on a gentle bushwalk in Whites Hill Reserve That's Boundary Road in Camp Hill. At 9 o'clock on Sunday, you can go to the Ocean Crusaders and Oxley Creek Catchment Association Oxley Creek Paddle Against Plastic. That's happening at the Oxley Creek Common, Sherwood Road in Broccoli. And then next Wednesday at 5 o'clock, you can go to the Intro to the Commons with Growing Forward. That's 250 Boundary Street, West End. We've been talking to Max Fulham from Save Deongwar State Forest. So the BioBlitz is happening this Saturday, but if people want to show up early in the morning on Sunday, they can do that as well.
Yeah, look, camping out on the property overnight is just a bit of a special treat, really. It's a really unique opportunity to get together for a socialise and just spend the night under the stars there. We're going to have a bit of a sausage sizzle and just a bit of catch up, and there'll be some field ecologists there, and we're also hoping that we might have some special talent turning up as well, but I haven't been able to confirm that yet.
Okay.
But yeah, no, camping overnight is not a requirement to join the BioBlitz. The only thing is you need to get there around about 5 o'clock because we're shooting through at sunrise.
Yeah,
and
that's a hard time.
Yeah. Look, I expected the numbers will be down on last year because it's a big ask for some people to get out, but I'm really pleased. It looks like we've got about 20 people willing to get involved in that, and it's really about quality observations this year. We really, really hope that we can... I mean, as I mentioned before, the databases or the species observations in Deongwar itself, we really don't know what's out there. For example, there hasn't been one swamp wallaby identified in Deongwar.
Okay.
There hasn't been one echidna identified in Deongwar.
Really?
So if we find some terrestrial mammals, like a bandicoot or a bettong or a long-nosed bandicoot, long-nosed potoroo,
yep.
I mean, I'd be so stoked.
Yeah.
Because that's the sort of data we need. To really know what's out there so we can, the decision makers can make the best choices going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks very much for joining us, Max.
Pleasure. I'm really stoked you reached out and enjoyed having a chat with you.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to hear about how the BioBlitz goes, so maybe we can chat later. You've been listening to 4ZZZ. This is Eco Radio. Take it easy. And listen to Sonic Aliens coming up next.
4ZZZ. Eco Red. Radical Radio Collective. 4ZZZ.